This was my identity.
Nobody talks about how freaking hard it is to be a dentist. What most people talk about is how this affects the patient. What nobody talks about is how this affects us. Dentistry is ready for this. Now is really the time. Welcome to Wellness in Dentistry. Today we're going to be talking about the fact that everybody has their own Everest to climb. I learned this from Martin, and he learned this from one of his friends, and maybe we'll have time to explain that to you. But basically, to understand that everyone's going through something, whether it's big or small, or in dentistry or not dentistry, and so just to have empathy with your colleagues. My name is Dr. Kyle Stanley. I'm one of your hosts. I am a dentist, tech entrepreneur, speaker, and researcher, and I'm joined by your other host, Dr. Martin Mendelson. Martin is a disabled dentist, coach, speaker, and author, and his first book, One Move Makes All the Difference, is available wherever books are sold. Together, Martin and I have helped thousands of dental professionals pursue wellness in dentistry. Martin, you seem a little fired up today.
I am fired up today. I haven't done it yet, but I'm probably going to do my first ever clap back reel on Instagram because I'm ticked. So this just happened the other day, and I'm on Instagram. Okay, I'll admit maybe I was doom scrolling, but maybe I won't admit that. And up
None of
popped
us
this
have ever done that before, don't worry.
up popped this reel from a dentist I had not seen their page before, probably somebody in their mid 30s, maybe mid 40s. The sad part about it was I interacted, or I read the post in the comments, which I'll share in a second. And then it was one of those things where the app closed and I went back, and because I'm not following them, I don't even know who this was. But trust me, I saw the post and I saw the comments. The post was all about the fact that this dentist wasn't burned out, and that
Good for
she,
them.
yeah, exactly, and that she likes dentistry and she's gone about her way to not be burned out, etc. But the comments, holy crap, from mostly, not all, but mostly dental professionals. Quote, I'm tired of hearing people whine about dentistry because my life is pretty good. People saying, "Oh, I'd want to, go to school, make a couple $100,000 a year, and blah 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 blah. Sounds pretty good to me." Yeah,
Non-dentists as well.
yeah, but it was mostly dentists and dental professionals that were coming at it from the perspective of, "Well, my life is fine," and I'm like, "Well, good for you," but to be so myopic and to completely ignore. Do you think we have a suicide rate that's 17 times greater than the incidence of the general population because of just a simple mindset? I mean, get real. Do we have 2.5 times the incidence of the general population of anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and depression because we just don't look at things the same way? Like, get the frick over yourself. I am so angry right now because of the lack of empathy, the lack of respect for other people. And, you know, it kind of makes me think, not in a bad way, of my college roommate my college roommate. Greatest guy ever, smartest guy ever. He had a mind for math. He would do all of the assignments in calculus. But you know how he would study for the test the night before? He would leaf through the book and he would get the highest grade in the class. I would kill myself, not literally, obviously, and maybe pass in calculus
Yeah.
because he had that ability.
Yep.
But he never looked at me like I was stupid or
Right.
whining.
What are you doing studying? What are you worried about?
So I think that's why I'm so fired up. The lack of empathy, the lack of self-awareness to realize that your experience doesn't mean that it's the same for everybody else. That's why I'm fired up.
Well, I have to look at the devil's advocate in this one
Sure.
because, well, I think that's always a good way to look at
Yeah.
things too. But I may have been like this person early in my career, Martin. I may have
Yeah.
been this person
Yeah.
saying like, yeah, you guys just aren't working hard enough. You're just maybe you're just not good like I am.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need more training like I am because
Mhm.
I've been so trained well. Because I had a good like 5 years to where
Mhm.
I felt on top of the world. I felt like I knew everything. I got to this peak of Mount Stupid that we call the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah.
And I was one of these people that was like people that are depressed, um, they're just not good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I really was like that crazy.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't gone through it yet. And so I think what I want to remind people is that there's ups and downs
Yeah.
in life, and especially in dentistry.
Yeah.
And most dentists that I talk to that are, you know, getting to the point of retirement at one point did have some kind of mental health challenges
Mhm.
or, they were frustrated with their career.
Mhm.
And if they didn't, I believe it was probably because of the times being different, meaning,
Or situations, right?
or situations being
Yeah.
different. Because, like my dad said, it was a lot easier to make money in dentistry
Mhm.
back
Mhm.
then.
Yeah.
You open up a practice. My dad told me his first month of practice, he did no marketing. Actually, he did one thing of marketing. He went to a parade and passed out balloons that had his number on it. That's it. He had 90 new patients his
Wow.
first month.
Wow.
This is when he opened his practice, I think in the early 80s or something. And, that is different from today.
Sure.
There's almost nowhere in the US, at least, that you can do
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And so I just want to remind people that if you're not going through something now, fantastic.
Yep.
I'm actually really happy for you because neither Martin and I want people to be going
No.
through the challenges of dentistry, right? That's why it's called wellness in dentistry.
Yeah.
We are pushing for wellness. But just because things are good now doesn't mean that they'll always be good in the future.
Hmm.
And so, what we need to do is think about our wellness journey like how we think about our physical wellness.
Hmm.
It's not like, oh, you know what? I've been eating right for the last 3 months, so now I
Hmm.
can just eat whatever I want the rest of my life. No.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't get in shape. Now I have a six pack, so I can just do whatever I want and not have to exercise anymore.
Mhm.
No, it's this prevention. And that's how it has to be with our mind as well.
Yeah. And the reason why I brought up circumstance is this. We all don't know what we don't know. And there are many of us, and I can actually think of a couple of friends of mine, like our mutual friend Ben, as an example, who ended up in a circumstance with great mentors that were not only great dentists, but great business people who taught him how to be that as well. And
Hmm.
so let's say for whatever reason, the cosmos or whatever, he ended up in a different situation and
Hmm.
wasn't around or had the opportunity to be taught those things. Well, where might he be today?
Yeah.
And what becomes really insidious about this is from a leadership perspective, because I guarantee you the dental professionals on that thread that were saying things like, I'm tired of hearing people whining, et cetera, are the same people that are talking about how nobody wants to work anymore and are comparing their what are likely minority number of experiences and laying it over everybody who happens to be a dental assistant or a hygienist or front office team member in the world. And
It's
that's
funny. I
not
was I was thinking when you were explaining the story, and you were saying like, it's if this was all just mindset, then
yeah,
that would be easy. And
yeah,
you and I are like, we're like the mindset guys, right?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
we literally teach this. I
Yeah.
learned most of it from you. We literally teach this stuff to
Yeah.
people about po the power of
Hmm.
positivity and all
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
mindset stuff. But we're also realists
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
And like you said at the beginning of the episode, we know the data as well.
Hmm.
And the
Yeah.
data doesn't show that things are getting better. It doesn't show that things are, I mean, some things are getting better, like working in group practices is allowing people to have more of a community. Some of that is
Hmm.
getting
Hmm.
better, right? Technology is helping in certain ways, but in general, dentists many times are suffering.
Hmm.
And, I think about my own story. I had it pretty good,
Yeah.
up till my burnout. Like when you think about just like, my upbringing, I have two parents that are married still. My parents paid for my undergrad. I paid for my dental school.
Hmm.
I lived in a safe neighborhood. I
Yep.
had great mentors.
Yep.
I found a fantastic practice to purchase. I have really great business partners. I was like on the 5 yard line and I still fumbled the ball,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so you think about some of our colleagues that didn't grow up with any of that or didn't have any of that experience that I had. And, if I was kicking ass when, let's say I didn't go through burnout, and I looked back and said, gosh, all these people, like they're just
Hmm.
complaining so much, not knowing what they had gone through. Like I think back of people that were in our dental school classes. I'm sure you had some too that had children in dental school.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, having
Yeah.
two little kids now and thinking about doing that through dental school. I mean, I had to worry about me and, my girlfriend at the time. And like, that was
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, I still remember. You just made me have a flashback because most people in dental school had your same seat, for like four
Yeah.
years, and I used to sit right across the aisle from Steve Engroff, who's today an oral surgeon. Has been one for many years, and I remember he had a beeper because he was waiting for his wife to go in labor,
Oh my
and
gosh. Wow.
I'll never forget that. So it's true, and I would like to take a moment to discuss the background of the phrase you used to open the episode. Everybody has their
Yeah,
own
please.
Everest to climb. So this came from a friend of mine. His name's Sean Swarner, and I met him in my first coaching program. And Sean is the nicest man you'd ever meet. He's very humble. He's very quiet. And little did I know, for those watching or listening, rather, I'm making air quotes right now. I didn't know who he was.
Mm.
And so he's literally been voted as one of the 8 most inspirational people in history. He climbed Mount Everest with one functioning lung because he had two independent cancers before the age of 18. They had nothing to do with each other. And the second one
Jeez.
put him in a medically induced coma. And he shared with me, as a PhD, he ran the statistics that the likelihood of getting that second cancer and surviving was the statistical equivalent of winning the lottery 4 times in a row.
Oh my gosh.
And cancer number two had a 94% mortality rate.
Wow.
So the occasion that he said this to me, everyone has their own Everest to climb. We were on a podcast together years ago, different one. And I said to him, I've never said this to you, but you're such an inspiration to me. And whenever I'm having a hard day, I think of you. And his humble, quiet gut reaction response was, Martin, please never do that. I'm just like everybody else. We all have our own Everest to climb. And I
Hmm.
thought, holy smokes, like what an amazing thing to say. But if you think about what this man's gone through, I mean, ESPN's done a documentary on this guy, for God's sakes. It's called True North, by the way. Look it up.
Mm.
I'm going to listen to somebody like that because he also talks about mindset all day long. Actually, he has a new book out that's all about mindset and so forth. And so we all have our own Everest to climb, and to lay over our personal experiences onto other people, good, bad, or indifferent, is frankly not applicable at best, and and awful at worst, because it leads to assumption and judgment about other people, because you have no idea what somebody else is going through in their lives, right? So that's the background.
And I think there's this kind of tribal thing too, like with this person that you said that did that post that once they get all their cronies on, they're like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
we're better than these people. We're not going through anything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of sad. Like I wouldn't, I don't know if I would enjoy or I would like for them to, but I would be interested for them to talk to some of the widows that I've talked to
Yeah.
and the widowers and see what their husbands and wives and, dads and moms have gone through.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, it's so wild to think about this and just be like,
Yeah.
well, I know there's people suffering. Well, let me take that back. If I'm being the devil's advocate again, what if they just don't know people are suffering? I guess they have to because they're comparing it. They're saying all these people are talking about it, but I'm fine.
Hmm.
I don't know. I have to think that it has to be naivete, you know?
Or denial, because I mean, as I openly talk about my book, I mean, I stopped drinking because I had a problem with alcohol. And
Hmm.
so I was one of those people that would look at others that stopped drinking, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but it's not unusual. I looked at them as weak because I was, reverse projecting onto me that, well, I could stop whenever I want, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, no, you couldn't. No, I
Mm.
can stop after one drink. No, you can't.
Hmm.
And, I have lots of evidence to prove that. And so I think it's similar in a lot of ways, some level of denial, projection, what have you. But, it is true. We both know many dentists that are very happy, very successful, and that's great.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the other side doesn't exist. And vice
Hmm.
versa, by the way.
Yes.
Just because we have such a problem with mental wellness and dentistry doesn't mean you can't be happy as a dentist. We're not saying
No,
that
I think
either.
we know many that are
Yeah.
extremely happy as a dentist.
Yeah.
I think the difference is that they usually have separated their purpose from their profession. They've
Yeah.
made their mental health a priority, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've surrounded themselves with friends and family. I
Yeah.
mean, they do all the things that, that we teach in our courses, really.
Totally. Totally. Well,
Some of it, some of it too, sorry to interrupt you, some of
yeah.
it too could be lack of self-awareness. Like
Oh, 100%.
I wonder if some of these people that say like everything's great for me, I wonder if it actually is.
Well, and I
Or
wonder what their team would say.
that's really interesting.
Hmm. And I mean, to some degree, yes, it does go to mindset. Like I'll use my friend Bjorn as an example, who's my personal dentist and a personal friend. And we know he and his wife really, really well, and they have two beautiful daughters. And he is the chillest dude you'd ever want to meet. And by the way, one of the best dentists I've ever met clinically. And so he does look at life differently than others. He looks at hardship different than others. I will never forget. I called him up when the pandemic hit because I was worried about him. And I said, "How you doing?" He goes, "I'm great." I'm like, how are you great?" He goes, "I've been working like a dog, like 70-hour weeks for the last 5 months. This vacation is amazing." And he literally went into the pandemic with that mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm not making this up either. And it wasn't, grandstanding or making stuff. No, 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 no. He looked at it as a gift. And, he came out the other side quite well, frankly. And so, not that it wasn't difficult for him, it was difficult for everybody in practice during that time. But it's a little easier if you're looking at things a little differently at the same time.
What do you think what else do you think there is to learn from this type of interaction with somebody? Because I know I have had this type of interaction with people in person.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've been accused of being predatory of on people for, charging for our workshop, which
Right.
is very interesting given the fact that we now have what, over 110 episodes that we've given away to the world for free with all the stuff we
Right.
talk about in that. But I look, you're never going to win with everybody. And we all know this because we all have patients that we can never win with. And so we're no different than the patients because we're all just people. And so to some degree, we got to take it with a grain of salt. And although Mel Robbins' let them theory as of late has a bit more controversy than when it came out, I think in
Oh,
this
really?
one,
I didn't know about this.
oh yeah, there's a lot of therapists who do not like the let them theory because it's allowing certain behaviors to progress without holding people accountable, creating, not creating certain levels of boundaries and stuff like that.
Mm,
Um, but I think in this one case, specifically referencing the post that got me all hot under the collar, it's like, you know what? It's like let them, let them do and think what they want to think because
hmm.
um it's like that guy that kind of came after you on social media, not realizing who I was. And
Right.
so I was asking him like, what is your problem with Dr. Stanley? And he's like, well, I just want to know if he's, really practiced dentistry. And I said, well, perhaps you missed the 40 clinical lectures a year he used to do. And then he pipes back and he goes, well, I'd want to see his numbers because, PowerPoint slides anybody can make up. This is literally what he said, folks. And then I finally said to the man, this is all on Facebook.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't like to engage this way on Facebook, but I couldn't help myself because he was coming after my friend, right?
Thank you.
And so I literally said to him, and I quote, where is all this hostility coming from for a man that's simply trying to help? And interestingly enough, this may surprise you, he backed down
Hmm.
and apologized
Hmm.
because sometimes we just don't realize the spool that we're winding and how much tension we're creating inside of ourselves by allowing ourselves to get all wound up.
Hmm.
So he was, if you know my work, jumping to catastrophe, right? He was allowing his thoughts to drive emotions. And everything I was asking him, he was allowing his emotions to spool up more. So I think to better answer your question, we do need to give others grace because we also have no idea what's going on in their life. So, for example, the individual who was a male dentist that I remember, I don't remember who it was, that said, I'm tired of everybody whining. For all I know, this man had a very difficult time in life and in dentistry, overcame it, worked really, really hard, and is very grateful for where he is today. Now, does that excuse him from making the judgment that if I did it, you could do it? That sounds like our old-timey dental school professors, right?
Yeah.
That's not right either. But I also know I have no idea what has transpired in that man's life. I don't, right?
Yeah. What I've seen mostly when people come up to me and say, like, everything's been pretty good for me, like, I don't know what everyone's up in a
Yeah.
tiff about. I tend to see that from older doctors. I'd say, like, my dad's age, like now
Yeah.
in their late 60s,
Yeah.
70s, is I think they forget where they were.
Yeah.
Times were different, things were different, and they may have even forgotten how bad and hard it was.
Well, that's actually a real thing. Research has shown the reason why people long for the good old days is because they typically remember the good from the good old days, not the bad from the bad
Yes.
old days.
Well, I mean,
So,
this has happened to everybody that goes through a breakup, right?
yeah,
You go through a breakup, you don't remember how they left their socks on the
yeah,
kitchen table and
yeah,
how, they had 900 shampoo bottles in the
yeah,
shower and, they were so rude to your brother and, like they don't remember that. We go, oh my gosh, he or she was just, they were so pretty or they
yeah,
were so this or that and they made such good food or whatever. And, it's the same thing about kids, right? Like, people say, oh, I just waited long enough till I forgot how bad it hurt to have a kid.
yeah,
Like I've heard moms say that before. They're
yeah,
like, God, I just forgot how bad this hurt, and so we had
yeah,
another kid.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think this can happen in dentistry too.
Hmm.
Is it's what you talk about too, is like
Mm.
focusing on the positive,
Yeah.
having gratitude for the things that are good in your life and
Mhm.
focusing on those. And for those of you that aren't aware of some of the research that Martin shares, there's real research on this. And
Mhm.
people have better perceived happiness when they focus on the things that are good instead of the things that are bad.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's not some BS like woo-woo stuff. It's like real
Mhm.
science research.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just talking to a client right before we hit record for this, and we were talking about the idea of, you know, you have these very few number of patients that things didn't go well and they get angry and they leave the practice. And, when you think about it, you end up focusing on them and you forget about the thousand or thousands of other patients where everything went well. And so I like to call that success amnesia, where we forget
Hmm.
about all the successes and we focus on the negatives. Because there is research to show we have a bit of a negativity bias where we'll gravitate more to that stuff. However, we can also train ourselves to the opposite, to focus on the gratitude stuff versus the negative stuff because they're both valid, they're both real, and they both happened, right?
So what kind of final thoughts do we have about this topic?
Um, well, I think for me, having talked it out, maybe I won't do a clapback reel. I don't know. Uh, but
Yeah,
I
I think it's a good idea.
to do a clapback reel.
No, to not do
Oh,
it.
to not do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think, the more I am out there on the internet and
Yeah,
get uh, bad comments and hateful comments and
yeah,
um, sexist comments and
yeah,
all kinds of comments that you can imagine, um, the less I like to engage,
yeah,
or I like to double down on what they say,
yeah, totally.
meaning back them up. They say you're ugly, and you say, "Wow, this is a good day for me. You should see me when I wake up," or something like this, right? Um, because what are they going to say after that, right? So, yeah, I think it's controlling what you can control.
Mhm.
Can we make these people think differently? Probably not.
No.
Now, what can we do? We can educate them if they want to be
Mhm.
educated, right? We can educate the general population and the dental population and continue with our research and our mental health coalition, which we'll really officially announce in a little bit, and help the people that need it.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think that's probably it. There's always haters.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, did you see we posted that reel of our podcast that we did with the great folks at MB2 and some guy piped up about, oh, doctors like to call themselves dentists like to call themselves
Yes,
sorry,
they like to
which
put doctor in their
yeah,
name.
just like chiropractors.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that was the same day you reposted that reel from a physician saying,
Yes.
"Oh yeah, dentists are definitely doctors," and he was giving all this reasoning about how if you read between the lines, it's almost like dentists are as much, if not more, doctors because when they apply to dental school, they're already tested on perceptual ability. Medical surgeons, they find that out later, which
Right.
I knew but never thought of before. But anyway, so it's all a matter of perspective, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think, my final thoughts are just control what you can control.
Yep.
Understand that not everybody's going to get it. And also understand that not everybody's going to go through challenging times.
Yes.
We would hope that those people that don't would, throw in the life vest for the people that are drowning and try to help them and have some
Yeah.
empathy for them, but we can't control that.
No. No.
So I think we go on doing what we can do, help our colleagues when they're in pain, not in a well state, and just try to spread the word.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, guys, we hope this was helpful. And if you've got someone that's going through a challenging time, be the empathetic person, whether you've gone through something or not. Because I'll tell you, as someone who's gone through a dark time, I distinctly remember the people that were there for me, that were willing to be on the phone, that were willing to meet me for lunch, that would put their kids to bed and then come over to my house just so we can talk. And I will be forever grateful for those people.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see you guys on the next episode of Wellness and Dentistry.
Take care.